Namaste, Soul Tribe, Venus lovers, family, and friends. This is a message from Source. And the reason I called it that is because we're going to look at some Sun and Saturn energy. And a lot of folks look at the sun as our source. I mean, if you think about it, it actually is. So we're going to talk about the sun through Aquarius, its interactions with uh, Saturn and Mercury, and then also the waning Venus-Mars conjunction. And I think after this full moon and after the turn of the calendar into March, things are going to get a little bit better. What's funny is I wasn't actually going to do a video about the sun through Aquarius. I just didn't feel really resonating with it. And I didn't have any creative ideas in me. It felt really strange. This was Friday afternoon. So I sat down and I said, okay, what do I want? What message is for me, for anyone? I want to hear what's happening. What is this sun in Aquarius? And I thought about other things I could do. And then all of a sudden, later on, I started looking at the astrology and I saw this message that I want to share with you. Okay, so we're going to go through this. I'm going to share my screen here in a minute. And then once we go through the transits, then stick around because I'm going to go through each of the houses, just like I did with the Venus transits. And then there'll be timestamps in the description below. So if you want to jump right to your house, y'all can do that. Okay, so let's see here. If you guys are not on the Fellowship of 13 Signs on Facebook, please join that. If you do, I post there almost every day. You can get updates, and then Don Bird does the dailies for us, which are very insightful. So appreciate Don, appreciate all of you. Let me share my screen. Let's see, is anybody chatting with us? No comments yet? Okay, that's cool. All right, so what I wanted to do was show you space a little bit. And we'll go back to the 18th. This is where we're going to start. So this is our solar system from a bird's eye view. And this is the inner solar system. This is what we're dealing with. So all the personal planets are over there on the other side of the sun. You have Mercury about to start a brand new cycle. Venus is pulling in June. She'll be back here. And then Mars is also back here. So let's zoom in a little bit and watch what happens over the next few days. Kind of have to move Earth a little bit, but you can see right there, this is the day we're doing the class. Right here is the perfection of Sun, Saturn, and Mercury. So if we take this view from Earth's perspective, look at that. See how they're just all piled up right there? Venus and Mars are separating. And the whole time the sun is in Aquarius, we're going to get to right about here. Okay? So that is space. Let's zoom in and stand on the Earth for a second. These are the skies. I took out the atmosphere. This is stellarium-web.org. I took out the solar system so y'all could see the sun moving through the sky, because this is what we do, constellational astrology. So you can see the sun. And look at this. Watch Saturn, Sun, and Mercury. They're about to pile up on each other. So big Saturn energy coming in for us. This is the full moon right here. The full moon's going to be in Leo. I just recorded a video for that. That's going to come out on Wednesday. You can also see Mars and Venus perfecting their conjunction right there and then separating. So we're going to go through all this till we get to the sun in Pisces. And then it's eclipse season. So, wow. All right. What do you say we look at a chart and then let's look at a transit map? Let's do that. We'll go in here. Put that down for a second. There we go. Transits. Worldview chart. Okay. All right. Let's animate this chart. We're going to go to the day we're starting, which is right here approximately. So what you want to watch is the sun through Aquarius. That's what I'm going to talk to you about, okay? Sun energy through Aquarius and some of the more interesting aspects. So there it is. Right there, February 22nd. That's when Mars and Venus perfect their conjunction. There's the new moon on the the full moon on the 24th. That's a Leo full moon. Oh my gosh. And then Saturn Mercury and Sun perfect this conjunction on the 28th. So this is interesting energy, and that's what I'm going to focus on for this transit. And then you can watch as the Sun moves in to Pisces. Okay, so that is what we're doing. Let me go ahead and grab the transit chart. Hopefully I don't have to do this again. There it is. Okay. All right, let's get out a pen. We'll annotate. I'm going to undock this, guys. I can move it around a little bit. And then we're going to draw. Okay, so let's just do a quick overview, run through this. This is going to be from the 16th of February to the 10th of March. Okay, and as we come into this, as we wind down our weekend, we have a couple peaks of energy here. We'll talk about this conjunction specifically. I know I've talked about this a lot, but we'll just briefly cover it. Mars and Venus make a square to Jupiter and then a square to Uranus over here as these 3 weeks come to a close. But then right in the middle is the Sun, Saturn, Mercury energy. And Sun and Mercury will also be commenting on Jupiter, just like Venus and Mars are right before. So there's some interesting energy there. Then Mercury will comment on Uranus and Neptune. So these energies are important as Venus and Mars also square on Uranus. So a lot of energy to the electrical body. Just checking the chat, make sure, see if anybody's in there talking to me. Nope, nobody yet. If you guys want to talk to me, you can. I can see it. All right, let's do this Jupiter sextile Saturn. This has been with us for a while already, and it's already peaked. It's already made its perfected the sextile. And the energy wave that you see right here until the 19th actually goes a little bit longer. It goes into March because these transit maps, these time maps, only show a 1 degree orb, but the influence is a little bit longer. And as you guys recall, Jupiter sextile Saturn is incredibly useful energy for expansion, getting things done. We feel like we have plenty of time. There's stability in the expansion, and there's also lasting growth. But remember that a sextile is an opportunity. So there's also an opportunity for overpromising. So you need to be very careful in this energy about overpromising what you can actually do for people, or believing someone when they say they can deliver something in a certain amount of time or for a certain amount of money. The price may go up, the time may take a little more. As we come in here this weekend, we're also feeling Venus and Pluto conjunct, as well as Mercury squaring on Uranus. This peak should be over by Monday. So let me talk to you about Venus conjunct Pluto. This is all you are feeling it. I'm feeling it too. This is erotic magnetism. This is deep and powerful transformation. This is a pure and powerful and authentic love, right? This is the magic of Kundalini right here. So if you guys can work with that energy through your body, you're going to uncover some very profound truths, and you're going to be able to make things real for you in your desire. So at the same time, you also have to be careful because you don't want to manifest things that you don't want. So try to be pure of heart, pure thoughts, going down a path of authenticity there with Venus and Pluto. Now, Mercury is also squaring on Uranus. This is quick. This might have either been leaving us feeling very scatterbrained. I didn't feel that. I actually felt very connected. Every time I would tap into something I was doing, I felt extreme focus and like a level of genius. So I don't know if you all were feeling that over the weekend, but this is being connected to the highest consciousness, but maybe being unable to express it. And this is okay because sometimes messages are just for us. So if you're feeling scatterbrained and you're getting these messages, but you're having trouble sort of saying it, that's all right. That message is just for you right now. And eventually, if it's meant for others, you will be able to share it. I hope you all have your coffee. Man, I slept great last night. I fell asleep and I woke up in the same position, and it was instant. It was the best night's sleep I've had in a very, very long time. Okay, so after this weekend, we're coming out of these 3 energies. The next thing we're going to feel starting on Tuesday through pretty much early the following week is the Mars-Venus conjunction, and then Mars and Venus squaring on Jupiter. So if you guys didn't watch the Mars-Venus Pluto conjunction or the last Venus video, do watch that, because I do go into these in great depth. I also have on the Venus video, I go through the houses. So wherever your Capricorn is, I go through each house for you. And I think it's Aquarius if you're tropical. So this energy of Mars and Venus is the unification of divine polarities. I mean, we're literally finally here. I've been watching Venus for almost a year now just to get to this point, because I just found it so fascinating that during her larger cycle of about 20 months, she's been able to conjunct and pass and aspect all of the luminaries with the exception of Mars. So she's passed over and gone through everything at least once. She's now on her second pass with Pluto, and now is finally contacting Mars. So it's like this bigger theme that we've all been working on. This should feel intense. I mean, probably maybe even a little bit more intense than when Venus went retrograde over the summer. Although I might beg to differ on that one. So we're feeling that energy. Venus and Mars are also going to square on Jupiter towards the end of this coming week. So you're looking at Thursday, Friday, through Tuesday of the following week. And Venus and Mars square to Jupiter a lot. Like, this is a very familiar energy for us. And we all deal, the two different polarities deal with the energy a little bit differently, right? So when Venus squares to Jupiter, there can be an overzealous nature to it, like almost going to the extreme with expansive energy, creation energy, that, oh, that Venus feels. So she's going to be very distracted and into that energy realm, whereas Mars is going to be ready to go, ready to take action, ready to build, because he's in Capricorn too. So this energy, this will to build, this will to manifest is right there. And so he's going to be like, come on, Venus, let's go. And she's going to say, now this feels so good. I'm right here. And so the two may actually clash with each other. So like Venus has this reckless energy creating inflated sensations, and Mars has an aggression towards the laziness. So towards the weekend and the beginning of next week, there's going to be a tension either within us or within our partnerships of our masculine feminine polarities. All right. So the next energy that I want to talk about, move my face. I have to move this. Pick this up. Is this Saturn, Mercury, Sun energy. Okay. You saw that on the chart. You saw that in the sky. Let's talk about this energy. So what I'm going to do is go through each one. We're going to go through Sun, Mercury, and Saturn, their energies in Aquarius, and what that combined energy might mean, and how it can help us, especially with this full moon here. Because when I go into the full moon video, when you guys see that on Wednesday, we're talking about this Leo full moon. That's like a burst of energy. And it's also in the middle of the Saturn Mars square to Jupiter. So you're going to feel this building, this building, this building. And Leo's also a very emotional moon. So you're going to feel this, like this burst of the heart. Okay. Jupiter is in Aries. So that's a fiery energy. Moon is trining on Jupiter during this full moon as well. So do check out that video on Wednesday. This energy with Saturn, Mercury, and Sun can actually balance that. So let me break it down for you. The Sun, when we think about the Sun, it attains enlightenment by expressing the highest form of the spiritual self. It's the search for the self within the self, right? You have that Sun in Aquarius, you get a little bit of a higher perspective, you get less weighty emotions, almost an ambivalence. Aquarius Sun energy really cannot even understand low vibe energy. They just don't get it. Like when people are down in the dumps, bringing everybody down, they just would rather not be around it. It's foreign energy to them. They're very desirous to work together with others to bring the highest expression of our spiritual selves into reality. Okay, so that's Sun in Aquarius. Mercury attains enlightenment through acquisition and transmission of knowledge. So it's how we think, it's how the mind works. And as I described, it's in a superior conjunction coming this weekend as well, because it's behind the sun from our perspective. So this could be flashes of inspiration. This could be enhanced intuition. It could be sort of a mad genius scatterbrain type of energy as well. All right, so you've got Sun and Mercury, a brand new Mercury cycle. Now you also have a brand new Saturn cycle. Saturn attains enlightenment by realizing that he built his own prisons. Every decision that you make manifests reality. So where does that decision come from? It comes from your thoughts. Where do your thoughts come? They come from how you feel. And where do your feelings come from? Your deep subconscious. So your deep subconscious is always creating for you. And Saturn creates this crazy like mirror, a hall of reflections where the reflections coming back at you are not identified as self when they actually are. So I hope that makes sense. So here's Saturn in Aquarius. This is like a sobriety to these high vibrational ideals that Sun and Mercury are working on, these flashes of inspiration. But it shouldn't stop us from thinking about the ideal, right? So if you put a sobriety and practicality around big and wonderful ideas, what you can do is create a clarity on how to create your dream. What are the realistic steps needed to carry out the vision? So this is what the house information that I'm going to do at the end of this video is going to cover. It's going to basically say, okay, what house is your Aquarius in? And then I'll also give you the degrees of Aquarius, or I'm sorry, the degrees of Pisces that it's in if you follow tropical. Yeah, so actually it'll be about 11 to 13 degrees of Pisces in the second decan if you're tropical. Okay, so we'll pause on that for now. That's what I feel for this Saturn, Mercury, Sun energy. Let's just go through the rest of this last week here, the 3rd through the 10th, and then we'll go into the houses. So right after we feel this Mercury, Sun, Saturn conjunction, Mars and Venus are going to square to Uranus, and then Mercury, Sun, Saturn are going to sextile to Uranus. Okay, so here's what this energy feels like. So with Mercury, Sun, and Saturn sextiling to Jupiter, this is this energy right here in the middle of all this. This is commenting on the square that's happening to Jupiter. So you have this energy sextiling to Jupiter, this energy right here, right before it, squaring on Jupiter. So I wouldn't make any rash decisions here. You're going to feel that tension. You're going to feel like you have to make yet another freaking decision. And just sit back with that. Take on that reasoning of Saturn. Sit with spirit and get the ideas from the Mercury Sun energy. And put those ideas down. Record them for yourself. Store this knowledge for the next lunar cycle because Mercury is going to go retrograde right before the eclipse. And so wherever Mercury starts in its cycle, the retrograde is going to comment on that. All right. And so now let's talk about Venus squaring on Uranus. Because at this point, Mars and Venus are separated enough that the energy is a little bit separated and they're not going to be reflecting the energy off of each other. So this is an Aries Uranus and a Venus in Capricorn. This feels like the commitment is very stale in its energy. So whatever unification energy you're feeling the early part of this week coming up, a week later, it's going to feel stale all of a sudden. It's going to feel like, oh, I just need to break free out of this. And all the Saturn energy is making your creative energy feel a little bit trapped, especially after that full moon. So there's a temptation here to like break free, let loose, but there's also a mental restriction. So consider in this square that maybe you don't actually have to break free. It's one of those things where if you sort of leave it alone, it might just work itself out, even though it's uncomfortable to sort of let it go and let those things work out. You can actually take the higher perspective. You can move into the Saturn, Sun, Mercury sextile Jupiter energy rather than focusing on the square energy. Focus your attention towards this more reliable, more practical, more steady, more realistic energy rather than desiring to break free and maybe burn it all down. Because Mercury is going to sextile Uranus right after Venus squares it, right here on the 4th of March. This is quick. Mercury is really, really fast right now on the other side of the sun. So this is an opportunity to use your mind. The hits you're getting through the Venus-Uranus tension can be channeled this way as well. So instead of breaking free, free your mind and keep your 3D reality as steady and reliable as you can. Routines, structures. You're a wise enough individual right now. You're an old soul that anything that comes at you, even though it might be a little bit scary, it's not going to hurt you. You know how to deal with it. So the tension from these squares, you're gonna feel it in your heart because that's what this cycle's about. Just sort of sit with it and try to be as practical as you can. Now, Mercury will also conjunct Neptune right over here on the 8th of March. Another quick hit. This is going to be divine inspiration, right? So this is going to feel really good. That's a nice day to journal, to really bring in the downloads because Mercury's starting to transmit now in this part of the cycle on the other side of the sun. But at the same time, Mars is going to square Uranus after Venus squared, Mercury sextiled, Mercury conjuncts Neptune. Here's a square to Uranus. So Mars experiences this tension as Venus and Mars are continuing their separation. The masculine observes the feminine side to this reaction. So whatever Venus is going to be doing with this square to Uranus, that urge to break free, be the example. Sit with that. Don't burn everything down because Mars still wants to take action very, very, very much. So there's going to be a physical need to break the tension of the square, to physically break free. So use your body. Whatever can calm your nervous system down on the 9th and the 10th of March, that's what you need to do with this Uranus squaring Mars. And at the very end here, we have Sun sextiling Uranus. So this is the opportunity to express yourself. All the inner turmoil that we've been going with these interpersonal planets, and stand up for yourself from a very reliable and practical vantage point, because this is aligned to the highest ideals, right? This is the sun, this is Mercury, this is Saturn. So that's the 3 weeks, okay? So a little bit of roughness there in the middle and the end of next weekend, and then everything to follow. I think if we take that Saturn perspective, we're going to do very, very well. All right. So if you guys want to know what Saturn's teaching you in your specific houses during this transit, I am literally about to dive into each house. Each little blurb, quick read will be about a minute or two. I'm going to use the lesson arc. So we're going to do reflection, projection, and mastery. I'm going to tell you what it is you need to master this Saturn in Aquarius energy, which will be 11 to 13 degrees Pisces if you're tropical. And so this is the area of your life where you'll need to work. So let me stop sharing so that we can talk about this. Like this video if you love it, subscribe if you're lurking. And let me just tell you real quick before we go into the houses, I have a very special and timely reading that I'm releasing for you guys. It will be a natal chart reading, in-depth personal, recorded, as well as how the eclipse is going to affect you. So we have eclipse season coming up. Excuse me. On the 25th of March, there's a lunar eclipse. And then on the 8th of April is the total solar eclipse. So, wow. And it's a very interesting eclipse because everything is sort of canted to one side of the chart. So there aren't a lot of harsh aspects with what's in the sky. But depending on where your natal placements are, there might be. So I wanted to offer you guys a chance to get a really in-depth personal reading of your natal chart, plus how the eclipse energy is going to affect you. I can't tell you how this eclipse is going to affect you until I see your natal chart. Eclipses are always wild cards, and it can manifest in millions and billions of different ways. And so whatever's uniquely going on with you will be relevant to this reading. So I'm going to leave a link for that below if you guys want to do that. Give me about a week or so to do these, and it's on sale. Now listen, if you're already a client with me, the price can be even cheaper. Just email me or Facebook message me and I'll send you the code. You can take an additional 15% off of that sale price. Okay, so let's go through the houses, you guys. Oh, if you don't know where your stuff is, go to my free chart calculator on the website. It's powered by Mastering the Zodiac. You can go there and put in your birth details, and it will calculate a free chart for you. So you just look where Aquarius is in that chart, find the house, and the following quick read will be relevant to you. So if it's in the second house, that's the one you want. All right, first house, house of the self. Your goal during this Aquarius Sun transit is to go from reserved, stiff, inhibited, and mistrustful of yourself and develop a positive sense of self assertion, a clear awareness of who you are and how you want to appear to the outer world. You have to have a mature sense of self control here, but also truly tapping into your divine uniqueness. When anything that you see outside of you, if you hate that thing, it's a reflection of you. If you love it, it's also a reflection of you. So focus on that. What do you see in others that you love? Know that you are capable of that and you're capable of anything. The second house, the house of the things you value. So, a Saturn here in your second house in Aquarius, the goal is to go from a fear of loss and a state of lack to truly recognizing the value of your creative mind and the value of your unique expression. What are the practical steps that you need to take in order to secure yourself in a place of abundant flow? If all things physical feel shaky to you right now, the best thing you can do is go inward and deal with self worth. Understand how valuable you are, how important you are, and literally this will ripple outward. It might not be instantly, but it will happen over time if you continue with this. The third house, the house of thinking and communication and programming. Your goal while Saturn is in your third house is to seek the elders and the old souls in your community, excuse me, and sit with their wisdom. You have blocks to expression that will eventually evolve and they will become your power. If you learn and integrate your elders' knowledge, you will become the born leader and mentor that you are supposed to be. Fourth house, the house of the soul. Your journey as Saturn transits through the fourth house is to attain a deep and soulful compassion without entanglement with others. This is hard for you because sometimes you see emotions as either a weapon or a block. The contentment you desperately seek creates wide swings of emotions that you cannot express and that you tend to favor aloneness with this energy. Deep down, you crave that connection. You really, really do, but you're afraid to be vulnerable and getting caught in other people's drama. Fifth house, the house of joy and pleasure. Saturn transiting through your fifth house, Sun transiting through your Aquarius is asking you to forgive and to love that playful side of yourself. As easy as this sounds, you're confronted with an extreme guilt or awkwardness in joyful activities, right? Because you actually have this innate reaction to control it. Your Saturn skills of planning and structuring are great. Use them. But once you do that, just let go and let things happen as that thing wants to be. Once you create it, set it free. That's essentially Saturn in fifth house. The sixth house, the house of service. Those of you with Saturn transiting your sixth house cannot help but feel despair during this time. This is tough. You might be dealing with issues of health and healing during this time as well. You might feel trapped in servitude and critical of everyone else, as if your anger and your illness are someone else's fault. It's your duty to become the specialist at what you do and to become so comfortable with that fact that you joyfully work your service with grace and gratitude. Once you stop feeling sorry for yourself, things are going to get better. The seventh house, the house of the other self and relationships. Saturn transiting through your seventh house is really tough. You might be holding everyone else, including yourself, to such high standards that you can't help but wallow in blame. Your lesson through this transition is to lighten up, see others as self. The things you cannot stand about others is often the very thing you can't stand about yourself. So sit with that and accept that. Respect others' free will and their boundaries. The eighth house, the house of transformation. Ooh, when a Saturn transits through the eighth house, this can be a very painful, but also very powerful and very healing transformation. You might actually be feeling some grieving right now, believe it or not. The loss of someone or something you were very attached to. It doesn't have to be big, it could be a small thing, but you're still feeling that grieving energy. When the energy is cut off from us through death or loss, once the grieving is processed, we have the opportunity to allow new energy in. So make sure that you're flowing. There can be beneficial and magical alchemy energy here with Saturn. So it can cause immense and rapid healing. So just remember, if you're not flowing, if you're feeling stuck, begin to flow with the eighth house. The ninth house, the house of higher wisdom and cosmic knowledge. Those with Saturn transiting your ninth house, it might be dawning on you that during this transit, expanding knowledge and tapping into deeper truths isn't actually all rainbows and unicorns. There's a structure, there's a discipline associated with the process of understanding. Don't get too attached to these rules though, because it's all unfolding the way it is supposed to. You don't want to miss the forest through the trees because you're so into like, I must meditate at 10 a.m. every day. Like, you don't have to meditate every day. Meditate when you need to. Meditate when you're feeling sleepy and squishy. That's the best time to do it, either first thing in the morning, sometimes in the afternoon. So don't get so wrapped up in the how. Just really try to flow with the why. The 10th house, the house of your calling. This is my house. This transit through the 10th house is asking you to be the leader you were born to be. You can be an example of grace and compassion, truly leading by example. However, you might actually have a fear of the spotlight, or you might try to overachieve and overwork your power. You can't actually lead people by controlling them. You can only lead by example. So do the thing, live the life, walk the walk, and you will be the leader you're supposed to be. The 11th house, the house of your ideals, the house of your soul tribe. Your goal while Saturn transits the 11th house is to share your lessons with your soul tribe and your spirit family. This enables you to personally understand the cycles of karma. This keeps you from feeling left out, but it's also from going over the top with crazy energy, new trends, and overestimating yourself. So be very careful in this Saturn energy. See how Saturn's kind of like a one way, then another way, and then there's a balance in the middle? So that's what we're all seeking with Saturn energy. And finally, the 12th house, the house of your subconscious and hyperconscious. The transit of Saturn through the 12th house endeavors to awaken the energy of your ancient soul. This could be possibly through structured dream work, meditation processes, and you might have to work through intense feelings of guilt that are buried deep buried trauma that tricks you into thinking that you have to be afraid of something or that you have something to feel guilty about, even though you don't. All right, my friends. So that is the sun through Aquarius. That's Saturn, Mercury, and Sun energy through the houses. There will be timestamps below so you guys can jump right to your house. And until the next video, namaste. Thank you.